There we go. Hi, everybody. It is Monday, October 17th, 2022. And welcome to the Vibrant Life Tribe weekly team call. And it's our conference wrap up. Yay. All right. Where do we begin? Oh my gosh, it was so amazing.
Probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, let's start in the middle and then just spaghetti our way out to the edge of the bowl.
Yeah.
Is that what we should do? Well, it was really awesome to be back together. It was kind of like the first real conference back together because St. Louis was like a pretend conference back together. And although I got to walk the stage and so did you,
which was great, it was very small and a little weird.
Exactly. And then, of course, Anaheim was even smaller, and partially because we didn't go. We met in Texas.
So obviously it wasn't as great because we weren't there.
Yeah, but virtual conference is over. And I would have to say, if there were a couple of words and phrases and concepts that were repeated over and over and over, it was together, community, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's another phrase I'm blanking on, but oh my gosh, they said it over and over and over. I mean, we just really need to be back together. And it was so good to be back together. So the people who went to conference, I know have some things to share. So who wants to go first?
Megan.
Go, Megster, go.
All right. Conference was definitely what I needed. I've been feeling like I've been feeling stuck and just kind of like flat feeling in my business. And so our lovely leaders, Mindy and Mamel, put a question out there before conference and was like, hey, how can we best serve you during conference, and kind of like light you up and kind of stuff like that. And I was like, I kind of took that question and I was like, I don't know what to say because I'm a person, I'm a giver and I like to give out and don't really look inwards and see what I really need. And so I had to take a few minutes and just was like, but ultimately what it came down to is I just need to be encouraged and my fire relit and just be poured into in that area. And so God answered my prayer in that, and it was truly amazing conference. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with conference, but they have NMD speeches, and NMD is one of our top leaders in the company, and those are people that are just recently became NMDs. And so that's one of the requirements they have as NMDs. They have to give a short little speech of how their story and how they became an NMD. And so one that really stuck out to me this time was from Corey Wilson. And she's been in the business for a very long time, and she's a mom, and she had suffered from Crohn's disease, which is an autoimmune disorder. And through this process, she's been sick and healing her body. And while going through that, her daughter had passed away in a car accident. And after hitting NMD, she found this diary from her daughter. And all she had wrote in it was that a prayer to God saying God, can you please heal my mom? And it was just over and over and again. And that just really touched my heart, because that's what my story is. If you don't know, my mom has been suffering with an autoimmune liver disorder, and she hasn't been healed yet, but she's on Juice Plus, thank God. And it's been healing her body slowly, but it's just been something that has been on my heart, and I didn't realize it until this conference. It really solidified my why, and why I'm doing this business is because I don't want another person in this world to have to pray that prayer of healing for their loved one, their parent, their significant other, whoever it is, a friend. And I can be that. And like Mamel has keeping saying all the time, someone's out there praying for an answer. And that was very adherent in all the speeches I heard, and something what I needed to hear over and over again, because I kept hearing that people are are praying for an answer. And that was really eye-opening to me to hear that from the main stage. And because sometimes when you hear it from your leaders, you're like, oh, okay, like, oh, I mean, people are praying, but then hearing it from a different perspective and different story, it really hit me hard. And it just and it's just like, it just keeps it full circle. Like, someone's out there praying for an answer, and we have it with our Juice Plus products that we sell, and we share. And sometimes I take for granted my story, honestly, because like, I didn't think it was very significant, because I'm like, I feel my body with the fruits and vegetables and Juice Plus, but I didn't realize how powerful my story is, like with knowing how health issues and being in a home where your parent has been ill majority of your life, and how that's a struggle, and how finances are an issue, and just knowing that, and how I can help alleviate some of that issue with just Juice Plus, and having them heal their body so they don't have medical bills, and they don't have to worry about the insurance covering it, covering the expenses and stuff like that. Because this business, you can earn an income and get healed at the same time. And so it was just really a great conference, and very encouraging to me, and just the training and all the different leaders that have been sharing their hearts over the last few days. It just was an amazing conference.
Wow. So I have chills. I mean, I had chills when we talked about it on Friday night. I have chills again. It's just so powerful. And I think one of the things that it's so easy to forget is we don't know what diagnosis you would have had by now, Megan, if you hadn't been taking Juice Plus for how many years now?
I think it's been 5 years now.
And I always say, our body does not send us a memo to say, guess what? We prevented cancer today. Go us. Or we prevented an autoimmune disease like your mom has.
Or you didn't have a stroke today that you would have.
Woohoo! Your back didn't go out. I don't know. And it's hard for us to feel the weight of that. And it's a big deal, because if you're healthy, let's keep you that way. And yeah, we don't know if your mom would be with us still.
Yeah, there's been many close calls, you guys, and throughout my life. Because I remember one distinct moment when I was with my dad and my siblings, and he had to sit us down. He's like, guys, I just heard news from the doctor, and basically mom may have 6 months to live at one point. And that just has been in my life like that for a long time. I mean, thankfully she started taking Juice Plus before that ever happened, so there was no threat of that. But if she didn't, I mean, I just wonder. I mean, you just think of what if that was the truth, that she would die in like 6 months. And I'm just so thankful for what these leaders have taught me with nutrition, how powerful it is, and when Juice Plus and having it come in my life. And like, I'm so grateful, because I probably, like you said, Mama, I probably wouldn't have a mom right now living. I know for a fact, for sure. So.
You've been a real champion for your family. Let's see. We've got your mom, your dad, your grandma,
My sister,
your niece,
Aunt Myrna.
Aunt Myrna. I was just going to say Aunt Myrna. I'm sure
my Aunt Sue.
Aunt Sue. Isn't there another cousin, Kayla?
She's been on the products too. So yeah, several family members of mine that have been added to the Juice Plus community. And so it's been great. And it's kind of a goal of mine to get all my family that I know on Juice Plus, because I know what it does for the body and how it's helped my mom so much and has kept her alive. So
that's really cool. Thank you for sharing. That was awesome. Okay, who has something they want to share next about conference?
Wanda is waving.
Oh, I'm looking at my list and not seeing. Thanks, Vanna.
You're welcome.
Wanda, okay, what you have for us?
Well, there were several of the speakers that really spoke to me in different ways. And the first one was new NMD Tina Quinn. And one of the things she tried to reinforce was the how doesn't matter. We always get caught up in this, like, well, I don't know how to speak about this. I don't know how to share about that. But she says, it's the why. Your why will help you get so much further because of, the importance it has to you. And so once you have your why, the how can get figured out. So it's better to make sure that you're strong in your why, and then you can take those steps, and you and your sponsor, your upline will help you get the how going. So you can take those steps to reach people that you want to reach, and not overthinking it. I have that problem, so that's why it really hit me. But one of the things that she really reinforced, and how when she got going and wanted to go for NMD, she got a good established morning routine, and then a habit of reading her goal out loud every day. And I thought, well, that's really profound, because it's going to get sinking in your mind and in your thought, and it's going to train your thoughts to see a way to reach that goal. And she said, if you can't see it in your mind, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that really, made it more graphic for me. And so that was really inspiring to me. And the other one was Angela Proctor, who is a homeschool mom, and she has 10 children, and she's also a naturopathic doctor. And so when I think about having 10 kids, being a doctor, and still making the time and the effort to go for that goal of NMD, it was just so inspiring, and it really stopped to make me think that, then I really can do that too. And I don't have all of that going on in my life.
That's really good, Wanda. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
So
it-
just to stay focused and intentional. That's how she did it.
Very good. And if any of you don't feel like you have your why in place, well, first of all, go to conference, because I'm pretty sure Megster's got her why in place now. My challenge to you is to get that written out and up in at least 3 places, that it's in front of you all the time, and give us a copy in your Voxer. And when you're talking about the why, if you don't have a solidified why yet, let me know. If you've done the why exercise with me, I can even help you with that a little bit. I'm pretty good at digging down in there with you and locating it. dig until I hit a spot in you and I feel it like just come pouring out. So if anybody hasn't done it yet, let me know. You would be happy you did it with me. And that's awesome. What about you? I feel like you should share.
Which things do you want me to share?
This one,
Mm-hmm.
if you can make any sense out of what that says, the training center thing.
Yes.
I was mixing my metaphors.
You did mix your metaphors,
Uh-huh.
but they're very similar acronyms.
Yeah.
So one of the big announcements that is very cool is Tony Branner is a big NMD in the company, and she has a customer, David somebody or other, and he's had this dream for a long time of opening this Olympic training facility, and it is coming to fruition. They got a $25 million grant from the state. And so in Charlotte, they are opening the United States Performance Center. It's already up and running with 2 teams. So these are United States national teams, and that is where the Olympic teams will be chosen from for each sport when, you know, the time for their Olympic nears. And so by the end of 2023, by the end of next year, they will have more than 20 national teams training there. And it will be the biggest Olympic training facility in the country, which is cool that a Juice Plus customer is opening this. And then they're partnering with the Belk family. And the reason that that is important is they have a long-standing history of being members of the International Olympic Committee. And so it's a very common household Olympic name for Olympic athletes. And so they're going to hear that name and know that this is legitimate. And so every day, every athlete that is training there is going to take the quad. They're going to take all 4 capsules, all 4 kinds, and they will be taking them basically at a check-in point where they're watched to make sure that they're actually taking them and that they're compliant. Because not only is this amazing training facility happening in partnership with the Juice Plus company, but they have all sorts of state-of-the-art testing equipment to test these athletes. And they are going to give the Juice Plus company full access to do whatever kind of research they decide they want to do. They can run basically any test under the sun on whichever athletes they want. And, you know, they'll have this super controlled environment that they're doing a check-in every day and they're watching them take their capsules. So we know that they are taking them. So that's amazing. And then they will all get either complete or perform. They have not decided yet which is going to meet the athlete's needs the best. And I don't know if it'll vary by sport or anything like that, but that part is not quite nailed down, but it's amazing. And then there will be regular information coming out from there that they'll be sharing with Juice Plus. And with, I think, even more with the medical people. And so as I get that information, I will of course pass it on, but this is big.
And how did you get this information? Smarty pants.
So they had basically a medical professionals reception at conference that I was invited to. And so basically you have to be in RN, MD, dietitian, chiropractor kind of person to get in the room. And then, so they made this announcement at conference, but it was much shorter, but they had Tony Branner talk to us for about 15 minutes at this reception and explain all about what was happening. And so we got a much fuller explanation there than you did at conference. And so I got to go to this super cool medical reception and meet up with Jan Roberto and Dr. Valerie Miles and Wendy Campbell and John Blair and all these big people. And I was just sitting at a table with them, drinking a glass of wine because it was an open bar. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
What happened? How did I get here? This is cool.
It was so cool, you guys. Everything she just shared is a big, hairy deal. I mean, as far as the Olympic stuff, can you kind of feel what's coming? Because as these athletes begin to have a fabulous experience and more teams are added, that they said they were predicting there to be 23 teams by the end of next year. This is just going to bust wide open, and you are in the right place at the right time, and how blessed are we? So I challenge everybody to post about this. You do not have to look very far on your social media to see everyone who was at conference posting it. There are several different versions of it that are out there. I put one on my page and one in my story as well today. So feel free to look and grab. Most of you have friends from Juice Plus that you can look at different versions and decide what you want to do, but for sure post about it, because I'm sure that everybody's got an athlete in their life who's going to be looking at this and going, whoa, if this is good enough for Olympic athletes, then it's good enough for my son who plays baseball. You know, they don't have to be a professional athlete to think that that's really cool. So that's a big deal. And then Mindy being invited to a medical professionals reception is a really big deal, that she's a part of that medical community now, which is just a plus for our team. So be excited about that. And then a couple little tidbits are, so we were sitting in the airport on our way home, and we talked to somebody, and they told us, this is like on the down low, I'm not going to mention any names, but a really big doctor in the company, they tested balance of nature, and the gist of it is they came back and said, you guys, it's basically sawdust.
Sawdust might actually be safer.
Mm-hmm.
And they did this research because they're planning on doing more advertising for Juice Plus, and they're planning on pushing back a little bit.
Yeah.
And before they started, they wanted to make sure that they were right.
So can we really say we're better?
So they didn't want to knock something if the science was close. So they checked it. It's not close.
And it's way more expensive. So we're cheaper and we are the real deal.
And we have the research that proves we're the real deal.
It's a big deal. It's a big, hairy deal.
The other thing we heard is that about Tower Gardens, Stephen Ritz and the Green Bronx Machine are an amazing organization in New York City that work on getting fresh food into, really at-risk neighborhoods and kids, and helping them learn how to grow their own vegetables. And then they learn to love them and eat them. And these are kids that do not have access to that kind of food.
Have you heard of food deserts?
Yeah.
I mean, in big cities like that, there are food deserts. I've heard him talk about this for years, but we take for granted that we can go to Jewel or Kroger or wherever you go, and people in the inner city, they don't have grocery stores. They don't have a way to get fresh food. So Stephen Ritz has they took a big piece of property right in the ghetto of New York City and made it all green and got these Tower Gardens in the classroom. It's amazing. So
he's been up to this for more than a decade probably now, and has, had developed a name for himself, and, it's given him the power and the authority to speak and to help more kids get fresh food. And so because it's becoming such a big thing, Google recently interviewed Stephen Ritz and is putting together a video about Tower Gardens, and it's expected to release in the next few weeks. We heard about 4 weeks. We don't know how precise that is. And it's going to be big, and it's going to be plastered everywhere. And so you want everybody to already know that you sell Tower Gardens before that happens in 4 weeks, because it could be a household name 4 weeks from now.
If you don't have your Tower Garden set up right now that you own, set it up yesterday, get those little babies growing, and get your name out there. Because when people hear about Tower Garden, you want them to go, oh,
that's the thing Hannah sells.
I
need to call Hannah.
Exactly. So these are big deal things that our company is doing.
So we need to plant seeds with Ruby tomorrow and go live. And
yes, I'm writing it on our list.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
While you talk about something else.
So that's really big. And then another big announcement is that they sent home with everyone who went to conference a sample to try of soy-free complete, a chocolate and a vanilla. So we haven't tried it yet. That's the other thing we need to do with Ruby is make a shake and have her try it with us
Yes.
so that it's Ruby approved. So yeah, they have created a trial product that is soy-free complete. And this is probably their last stage before they, officially package it and release it to the public, is they sent a sample home with everybody that attended conference to try it and make sure they like it and it tastes good and it makes you feel good and all that kind of stuff. So we get to try it.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I don't know about you guys, but I've lost people because there's soy in it. Some people just, it's got a negative connotation, and some people are not willing to hear about the facts about it. And some people just really do have a soy allergy or sensitivity. And so it's just amazing to have this to offer to our people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also heard a whisper that Lyft is coming back, but that was unverified.
And some of the stuff we just heard because we were sitting in an airport where there were two NMDs chatting.
Yeah.
And we
just happened to have gates nearby our gate, and we all ran into each other at Starbucks in the airport.
And because I traveled the country and we traveled the country, and I introduced myself to everyone. Hi, I'm Melanie Hurley. I heard you on the stage and you're awesome. Thank you.
And so then they just kind of grabbed us and they were like, "Did you know?"
You guys,
we're
we
like,
gotta
"No,
tell you."
tell
And they're
us."
like, shh. We can't say Dr. said this.
Dr. Susie Q.
Dr. Susie Q. Yeah. So, oh my gosh, so amazing.
And then the last thing, and I can post about the Juice Plus Science Institute with that link.
Yes.
And they've talked about this a little bit, but they explained it a little bit more fully, is that the Juice Plus company has launched and created an entirely independent company called the Juice Plus Science Institute. And they are the research arm of Juice Plus, but they're not exclusively researching Juice Plus products. Their goal is to research plant-based nutrition and promote plant-based eating. And so they will do other research outside of Juice Plus. And I don't know if this was explained in conference or if this was another thing from the medical reception. You'll have to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
But they explained that part of why that is because Europe has very different regulatory guidelines. And so they can't talk about Juice Plus and the research the same way there because it clashes with the guidelines. And I don't fully understand why that is, but it is the way it is. And so by doing this and doing research on the importance of phytonutrients, then it's going to allow them to bridge into talking about the Juice Plus research, because they did research that shows increased phytonutrient levels help XYZ. Then they can next talk about, well, this product has phytonutrients. And so it's going to help them bridge into the Juice Plus research in Europe, where there's a lot more regulatory guidelines.
Cool.
But it will also help us.
Very cool.
And they also said Tower Gardens are going live in Europe. Previously, you could not buy a Tower Garden in Europe.
Yes, that was one of my things. So thanks for covering that. Launching in Europe today.
Yes.
Tower Garden launched in Europe in 5 markets. So think about who do you know in the UK, Ireland, Germany, France, and Spain. That's phase 1.
And that went live today.
And then phase 2 coming soon, I'm not sure when, is Italy, Netherlands, Austria, and Switzerland.
I think they said sometime in November. I think it wasn't very far behind.
I think so. Well, yeah, I think so.
That's
a cage.
But I think it was November sometime.
And they also made a support cage for the home Tower Garden. They did not have that before. And November 1st, that goes live on the website and some video, I don't know. And it's going to be $90 in the US. So
Amsterdam. Isn't that Netherlands?
I think it is Netherlands.
That is phase 2, Cassie.
Yeah.
So we'll work on finding out when phase 2 goes live. So phase 1 was UK, Ireland, Germany, France, and Spain today. And then coming soon is Italy, Netherlands, Austria, Switzerland.
Yeah. So we want to be reaching out to our friends and family in those countries and let them know it's coming and be looking for it, because we want, again, you want them to know that's what you do.
Mhm.
We want them to know that.
Yeah, so
All
that's
right.
very exciting.
All right, I have so much that I want to share and definitely not enough time. So I think I might skip Casey Schloss for now.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
That's big.
which one?
That. Mhm.
Yeah, I know. That's a non-negotiable for me
Mhm.
too. All right, so some of us, well, no, all of us who went to the some of the biggest NMDs got together and put together an advanced training leadership for us the day before conference started. It only cost $30 to hear all the biggest leaders in our company come together. It was really cool because normally somebody's talk is like 30, 40, 45 minutes from the stage. And these were like little sound bites. They were no more than 5 to 10 minutes. And to me, it had the feeling like I walked up to Kurt Beavers and said, Kurt Beavers, which I did, by the way, and said, my name is Melanie Hurley. This guy is so big, you guys, so big. And he looked at me and he goes, I know who you are. I know you're on my team. And I was like,
I'm sorry.
I go, you do? I couldn't even hide the surprise. He's like, yeah, I know that. And I was like,
That was like when I said
Well-
something to Lisa Pebble and she was like, I know who you are. And I was like, Lisa Pebble knows who I am. Guys.
oh my gosh, I keep introducing myself to people. I don't think I've ever introduced myself to him before, but he has offered at least 2 Zooms in the past year or so for his team, because, you know, we go up to Tom Averill, then Christine Averill, then Wendy Campbell, then Kurt Beavers. He's way up there in our upline. And so
Wendy Campbell is one of his lines.
who, by the way, revealed to us that she makes well over, not just,
Like, stop what you're doing and pay attention to this. This is how much money Wendy Campbell makes.
she makes well over $100,000 a month. What?
A month.
And Kurt Beavers is her upline, so she's only one of his lines.
Yeah.
Do you get that? So
She told us that and I was like,
So these sound bites were as if you walked up to Kurt Beavers and said, hi, my name is Melanie Hurley. I'm on your team. I'm just wondering, I know you're busy, but if you had one thing you wanted to get across to me today, what would you want me to know? And it was like all the biggies in the company basically stood on stage and gave us that.
Mhm.
And his blew me away, and I don't think I'll ever forget it. So we can try to recreate it for them. Feel free to interrupt me, not that you need permission. But so he started out talking about how his chainsaw has been sitting on the shelf for 2 years, and he had a tree fall and he had to deal with it. And he said, you know, when you get out a chainsaw and it's been sitting for 2 years, it doesn't work very well, you know, and he had to figure out how to get it going, how to get that thing cranked up again so he could do what he needed to do. And he said, basically, wake up, people. You've been sitting on the shelf for 2 or 3 years, and we got to get restarted. But for things to change, something in us has to change. So he talked about, and this has been a theme, I want you guys to hear us. The pandemic set us all back, and there's been a lull in our business. It's not just you, all right? I know the voice in your head probably says, It's just me. Maybe I'm not good at it. Maybe this isn't for me.
I'm doing it wrong.
Mhm. No, no. So we have the opportunity now for a reset. And he talked about how they started the business in very difficult economic times. So he said, we've seen difficult economic times before. You know, this isn't that unusual. It's not the end of the world. And he said, you know, the last 2 years, every business in the world became a home-based business, right? But now the great thing is that the size of your business is not limited by the size of your office tower. Maybe we thought it was in the past. He says, you know, you had a computer and a cubicle and a commute before, and you were unsatisfied and you were trying to fund your 401k. And he said, I didn't want to wait that long. And then he said, there's 2 things going for you. So he talked about low tide and high tide, and he was kind of describing from the hurricane around Sanibel Island, and that there were areas where, you know, the water had gone way out, and it was just odd. It hadn't been like that for a long time or ever. And he says, so do you understand we're at low tide in our business? Okay, yeah, there's been a lull. Yeah, business has been down. It's been frustrating.
And it was way low.
Well, the volume on our team under me has gone down 10,000 PVC over the past year and a half. So yeah, just business is down, and that's not really very fun. But guess what? All the things we've just told you, do you know what comes after low tide? High tide, that's right. That's right, spark plug. High tide's coming, y'all. So he said, you've got 2 things going for you. One is, yeah, it was low tide and we're coming out of COVID coma, but the product is more appreciated, more valued, and more needed than ever. I mean, we've got a good audience out there that's primed and ready for what we have. And he said our business number 2 was made for such a time as this, that there's a tide in the lives of men. And when taken to its fullest, great fortunes are produced. He says, every time you have a low tide, high tide is coming. And we all need to take advantage of the fact that there is a big high tide coming. Maybe you've been sitting on the shelf. Maybe you've been feeling really stuck. Maybe you feel like things are going in the wrong direction. But holy cow, it is your task now to wake up and tell everybody around you, look out, there is high tide coming. And the only question is, are you going to go to the seashore? And if you go to the seashore where all the people are, how big is your bucket, baby? Because there is a high tide coming in. Are you going to go out there with a bucket?
Or maybe a cute little like
Plastic
plastic
pail?
Yeah.
Are you going to go with a bucket? Because high tide's coming. We are at the right place at the right time, and the best is yet to come. Just think about this United States Performance Center that's training Olympic hopefuls, that they're training the teams that Olympic teams are going to be chosen from. There's this Google video coming out in 4 weeks. Oh, there's just all these things. We are definitely in the right place. So I hope, you guys, that you will go out and get yourself a big old bucket. And but how do we do that? Just by telling people, right? Get out there and tell all the people, but know in your heart and your soul and your mind that that high tide is coming. And do you just get the word picture? All right, there's been a lull. It all rolled out and it felt like it's going away. But do you see that wave out there? Oh my gosh, high tide is coming. I hope you can feel a little bit of the excitement of that. And I could go on, as I'm sure each one of us who went to conference, but hopefully you captured a little bit of our excitement and our increased passion for letting people know. Oh my gosh, there's 5 things in the chat. I better go look. Yeah, Shelly, order your tower, do it fast. Yes. Oh my gosh. Thanks for being here, you guys.
And then did you want to say next conference dates?
Yes. Next conference dates. Do you have it?
Thursday, April 20th, 2023. So it'll be Thursday through Saturday, April 20 to 22 in Phoenix.
You're not going to want to miss it. Hang on, one more profound thing to say. Not everybody who's at conference is a leader, but every leader goes to conference. So it's a really big deal. So mark your calendar, make an agreement with yourself and God and your family, especially, and your upline, that this is non-negotiable, that I'm all in and I'm going to be there. And then when you've done that, let your upline know. Well, what do we know, people? What do we know? Right now, what's going on out there? Somebody's praying for an answer, for their health, for their finances, maybe both. And I love how Wendy calls herself an angel warrior on a mission. I mean, do you want to be that person's angel and bring the answer to them? Then you get to be somebody's answer to prayer. And that is pretty cool. And that's why I wake up in the morning and do what I do, because I love being somebody's answer. All right, guys, thanks for being here tonight. I love you madly, and we'll see you next week.